Make sure to subscribe to this channel for more videos like this.
Have a tropical storm that's either going to come in or be very close to coming in, and then a hurricane, and it could be a Cat 1, Cat 2. We can't rule out it being a major hurricane at Category 3. I want to bring in Jen Carfagno to talk about these two storms because, Jen, there are some similarities where, you know, the center circulation is exposed in both because of the shear, but the differences are Laura much bigger than Marco, and Marco does not have any room left to get its act together, where Laura has a ton of room to get its act together.
Yeah, there's way more time ahead of Laura, and it's moving into an environment that is going to be much more prone to strengthening, although it's not a perfect situation. It never is, really, in the environment. There's always these little potential pitfalls that we watch for, right? But Marco is, you know, it's about done, right? It's close to land. It doesn't have its thunderstorms over top of its low-level circulation, and that's the good news with Marco. But when it comes to Laura, there's a lot of things that we have to look at, you know, where we are going to find some of the upper level winds, the wind shear, is that potentially going to impact Laura like it has been impacting Marco. That's really been the downfall of Marco, is this wind shear.
It is, but you see that big ridge off to the east, high pressure, rotates clockwise, and those what we call synoptic scale systems, that high pressure is much bigger than Laura and Marco. Let's focus on Laura and what it means for Laura, because it's going to go around that high pressure, Jen, and as it's doing that, that's not really going to impact its strength. We have to look at, you know, upper level shear, and we don't have any, so that's why this thing could blow, not to mention the warm water temperatures.
Right, and big ocean heat content there. You look at the projected path, taking it right over the heart of the Gulf of Mexico, where you've got lots of warm water. The sea surface temperatures are in the mid to upper 80s. You go down deep, you know, it's warm all the way. But there's uncertainty exactly how it's going to track. You can see that in the ensemble forecasting and the models. Steph, so we need more data, and the hurricane hunters are out there this morning doing that.
Yeah, they are. We have, what, Jen, 5 planes now out surveying the atmosphere in both of these systems combined?
It was interesting to watch this morning. Everyone just take off. We've got 2 planes, 2 Air Force planes that are flying into Marco. We've got several planes as well. One Air Force at the low levels, a NOAA at the low levels, Miss Piggy, and then a NOAA aircraft at the higher levels. And they do like a surveillance of the atmosphere around the system. Gonzo is the flight doing that, and they have wrapped up that flight. But they do that to put that data into the models. What kind of environment are these storms moving into? And, of course, what is the environment in the storm right now, which is key. All right, Steph, good talk. I want to talk about Marco, though, and the impacts today, since it is here right now. The surge is going to be one of the main threats that we deal with from Marco directly. And already we have seen a little bit of water rise, 1.2 foot rise in Dauphin Island, now it's 1.0 in Pilot Station East. It was up a little bit more earlier. The concern is that it could be up about 2 to 4 feet. That's why the storm surge warning is up from our Morgan City over to Ocean Springs in Mississippi. It's this zone, a vulnerable area. You know, I was looking at Lake Bourne, and we're looking at the Shell Beach area in particular, because we've got your tide cycles up here. We are past the time of high tide. We're actually going to a low tide, which is key. But I did see during Tropical Storm Cristobal back in June, you guys had a lot of storm surge flooding. And so that's always a concern in these low-lying areas wherever water can come in. And you look at the direction of the wind, it's either, you know, northeast or a little bit north, and that's going to just push that water. So the concern is that, you know, even if you don't have the strongest of tropical systems, with just a very persistent wind direction, you could get into that. Luckily, waves aren't going to be a big deal, but it's really, I think, the surge and the fact that it'll be gusty and there'll be squalls. And Kelly, we have all that rain over here in the Florida Panhandle.
Speaking of winds is on the way for Jim Cantori, who's right there in New Orleans. And Jim, I hope everybody's finishing up those preparations at this point.
Yeah, I think they are, Kel.
Abrams live here in Morgan City, Louisiana. We've been talking about this flood wall all morning long. We showed you what it looked like from below. Now we're on top of the flood wall, and they will close it if the water gets up to 5 feet, which potentially could happen as Laura nears the Gulf Coast. Well, here's what we know. Here is the very